Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And some interesting news that we kind of knew already, but obviously now is worth mentioning, is the fact that RASSIE Erasmus is officially back with the Boks, technically, because the next time the Springboks will play is in November, and RASSIE Erasmus's ban is set to end on the 30th of September, which is in the coming week. So from Friday, 30th September, he is then allowed to resume all activities relating to his director of rugby role, including being there on match day. So currently, the RASSIE has a stadium ban and cannot return any of the matches and be involved in anything. And that means, for example, can't even, in theory, can't send messages, can't be phoning into the team and stuff like that. All of that is outlawed by World Rugby. Before we sort of talk about exactly what that means, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We're about 500 people short of 20,000 subscribers, which would be very amazing to try and get before the end of the tour. So please do go and show your support. But yeah, so it's the end of the Rugby Championship, and it was a frustrating Rugby Championship and disappointing in regards of not getting over the line. But I do think that there were a lot of steps taken forward. I think that if you look at the first match, for example, of the year against Wales, and you look at sort of the progression over the Springbok season so far, there's no doubt that there has been progress being made. There has been improvement. Is there still a long way to go? No doubt. Are we anywhere near the finished project? Probably not. And that's the nice thing. That this is a journey, and we are still trying to get to the final product, and we're hoping that we're going to peak at the right time. But with regards to what's sort of happening within the coaching setup and stuff like that, this entire year the Springboks have operated without RASSIE Erasmus, who, for all intents and purposes, is still the head of the team, is still the top man in charge. The restructuring of the role, when RASSIE Erasmus stayed on as director of rugby but announced Jacques Nielba as head coach, was a restructuring of the sort of day-to-day operations, but from a personnel point of view and a sort of even sort of chain of command, if you want to put it that way, nothing had changed within the Boks change room. So, for example, if you had looked at last year in the British and Irish Lions series, and before the end of the year sort of series, a couple of years at the end of the year series, RASSIE Erasmus was there on match day. He was there in the build-up. He was there at training. He was there he's involved in the squad during the season, and that will continue to be made the case. And what will happen at the end of the tour is that RASSIE Erasmus will be back in the coaching box, and he will be back sort of leading the team. And I think that I think a lot of people actually don't even want to hear. I think it's far easier to sort of lay the blame on Jacques Nielba and basically say that he is the head coach, therefore the buck stops with him, without being willing to understand that the way the coaching structure works is that RASSIE Erasmus is still the Dave Rennie of the Springboks. He's still the Ian Foster of the Springboks. He's still the Michael Checker of the Springboks. He's the Eddie Jones. He is still the main man in charge of the Springboks. And the buck stops with him, according to him. That's not even what we're assuming. He has said that he is responsible for the performance. He is responsible for the results. He is the person that has to take the fall for anything that goes on with the Springboks, not Jacques Nielba. But we haven't had that this year because of the stadium ban to RASSIE Erasmus, which, looking back at it, really sort of seems quite ludicrous, to ban somebody for a year. I don't think you'd ever see Eddie Jones being banned for a year from his team. I don't think you'd ever see Michael Checker, Ian Foster, and those sort of characters ever being banned for a year. I personally don't think that if RASSIE Erasmus actually was the head coach, they probably would have banned him. But I think that they tried to sort of use that director of rugby loophole, just because they're sort of still tightly at the issue, to implement that ban. But that comes to an end. And what will be interesting is to see the way the fans react if the Springboks don't do well, for example, or if they do well at the end of the year tour, while seeing RASSIE Erasmus back at the Boks. The normality resumes for the Boks. And I think it's been difficult to quantify what the impact has been of not having RASSIE Erasmus around. And it's twofold. If we're going to criticize the coaching staff when things go wrong and say that we need RASSIE there, we also then need to give them credit when things have gone right during the Rugby Championship. Now, if you speak to the coach and stuff like that, I think the Springbok environment is very much a no personal glory, team comes first environment. So I don't think the Springbok coaches currently, the assistant coaches, Jacques Nielba and stuff like that, are going to complain or going to try and use an excuse the fact that they're saying, we need RASSIE and stuff like that. But there's no doubt that the coaching staff is better for him being there. He is a Rugby World Cup winning coach. Something that very few, I don't think no current coaches around the world can say that a Rugby World Cup winning coach, except for Erasmus when he returns. So not having in there on match day is going to be huge. As I said, it's like not having Michael Check on match day, not having Ian Foster on match day, not having Dave Rennie, not having Eddie Jones. There's so many different coach in the world where if they weren't there in match day, maybe their teams would also really impact from it. But we don't need to worry about that anymore because that now comes to an end. And what will be interesting is to see if there is any sort of change in the Springboks. But just in terms of, I think it's from a operational point of view, we're back to normal. There's no limitations being placed on the Springboks. There's no issues regarding who could be there on match day, who can't be there on match day, who can be where, and stuff like that. And I think it's going to make a big difference. I do. I think that for once, hopefully, there's going to be less off-the-ball issues from a Springbok sort of sense. And I think that, hopefully that will mean that we can sort of really start focusing on exactly what's happening and start building for the World Cup. Because as I said, there has definitely been steps taken forward. If you deny that there has been any progress from the first game against Wales to the last few games of the Rugby Championship, you don't want to see it. And I think that if you look at the Australia game in Durban, wet conditions in the second half, a really, really ugly game, a very scrappy game, a scrappy affair, 39 penalties being conceded, 6 yellow cards. It wasn't a great game. The Springboks still won by 17 points and beat Argentina 38 points to 21. New Zealand beat Australia 40 points to 14, and it was a complete performance, a complete domination, decimation. And the Boks were 2 points shy of scoring 40 points, but conceded one more try. And all of a sudden, it's pathetic performance, stuff like that. And a lot of it comes down to the manner in which you score tries. Fans will demand flair, they'll demand the backline moves, stuff like that. Which we all enjoy watching. There's no doubt about it, And I think if you can play very nice champagne rugby and it's effective and they can score tries and win your trophies, you're always probably going to go that way. But you also can't move away from what you're really good at. And that's what the Boks are doing. They're very good at the set piece. They're very good with their forwards. They did dominate things. As I said, do we need to be more clinical? 100%. But at the end of the day, a maul try, a scrum try, a forwards try, a backline try, a set move try, all count 5 points. And the Boks yesterday scored 5 tries against Argentina. And conceded one too many. I think you look at Billy who makes a tackle against Gonzalez and the Boks concede 2. Then they come up 20 odd points short from a points difference point of view, but they would be equal on total. So those sort of small margins really when you look at the grand scheme of things. So for example, I'm not panicking. A lot of supporters are panicking. I wouldn't say I'm panicking at the moment, because we can see a bit of progress being made, and we have got a lot of answers on this Rugby Championship. We see certain players who maybe now need to be looked to be dropped. We also see lots of players who are taking the opportunity and really put themselves at the top of the pecking order. Damien Willemse, for example, Jasper Wiese. I think those are 2 players who throughout the Rugby Championship have cemented their spots, have shown that they're really, really ready for this level, and are very important players for the Boks. Lakanya was a different class, and we've lost 3 injuries. So there has been a bit of unluckiness, but I think we have gained a lot out of the Rugby Championship. There are still a lot of questions. For example, does Dwayne Vermeulen still offer what Dwayne Vermeulen used to compared to what other players could be asked to answer? Where's the issue? I mean, the depth of 10 is an issue. When do we start bringing in other players? What sort of mold of a player do you want to bring in? Who do we bring in? Stuff like that. So there are still going to be questions. And injuries and stuff will do that because we have been unlucky with injuries. I think we've been unlucky to injuries in very specific positions where we don't necessarily have the depth to replace them. But as the cookie crumbles. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.